Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Another Friday morning here with my dear friend here, Mr. George Green is with us again today on this Friday, and election is right around the corner. And you're tuned into Texas in Color. We are broadcasting live on our Facebook page, Texas in Color, and live on our YouTube channel, Texas in Color. And we would appreciate for you to chime in questions or anything, because this is an open forum. So just let us know anything you want to know about. We'll try our best to get it to you. So, sir, election is less than, it's a little over 2 weeks away. And things are sort of getting heated up down the line. I mean, I watched the debate between Cruz and Allred, and of course our national stuff that's going on. And then I'm looking at things that's going on right now that Paxton let me get this straight. I gotta make sure I get this right. I got it right here that he wants to count, boy, it just disappeared from me, some people who's going out to vote. Let me see. He asked the feds to check citizenship status on nearly 500,000 registered voters. Why should they have to check the status on that? Because they know that's another monkey wrench thrown in there. And then you got people from all over the country, Texas included, that they're sending out hundreds of people to monitor the election. And need to be said, we know where the people are going to be at. They're going to be in the minority section of towns, not in the white section of towns. That is known. And so that's intimidation coming up. And we came too far to go back to the 50s and do all this. But these are some of the things that's coming out right now. And I'm trying to figure out, well, we discussed this. We knew it's going to get hectic the closer and closer we get to election day. But they're not wasting no time coming out with stuff right now, sir.
Well, yeah, that's true. And first, let me say good morning to everyone out there and in our listening audience. I'm in Paxton's hometown as we speak, so Paxton signs are all over. His activity is really high on the radar right now, and I don't know if it is to be expected, Ronald, but coming up on this election, and this is one of the most important elections that we've had in our history. And with the huge number of registered voters that or at least documented thus far, it's going to turn a lot of heads. And Attorney General Paxton, he's seen fit, and his duty call is to do counts, check and recheck, to be sure we've got a fair and legal election. So I suppose that's what his charge is, and that's what he's doing.
So let me ask you something. I don't know the answer, need to find the answer to this. When somebody first registered to vote, what is the checking process? I know they check the address and all that good stuff to make sure they're legally here. Isn't that done already in that process and when they register to vote?
It is, yes, and once again, when you come up to the voting line in the voting booth, they're going to check and recheck, and that's their way of being sure that everything is on the up and up, and that's their call.
So why is it now we turn it in, we get our voter registration card, we go vote, they check again, make sure it's you. Mm-hmm. So why do we got to have this third party come in to double check everybody? Isn't the check and balances there already?
Yes, it is. The checks and balances are there already, but they're coming in again. I'm in a neighborhood of Dallas, Texas, and they're going through a third check with all their voting processes and equipment, and they are frustrated with that, and it's expensive too. You may throw that in there, but again, this election is huge, and so they're making sure that their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed.
So you said it's expensive. Yes, it is. And who are the ones paying for this? The taxpayers.
Right.
It's coming out of our pocket. And so that's what you're doing. Okay, let's go ahead and do this, do this, do this. And so the bottom line comes with all this check, double check, triple check. It all comes back to the citizen of Texas who pay taxes that's paying for all this.
Yes.
Now, my question is there room in the budget for this? Did they budget this or they just went on and just did it?
Well, looking at the budgeting process, as far as my experience goes, no, it's not. It has not been built into the budget that they're going to do a 3 times over check on the voting process that I'm aware of. But they have seen fit to find money somewhere somehow in order to pay for it.
Oh, they could find money for this. They can't find money for the public schools. That is so bizarre.
Yes, that is very bizarre, and the public schools, that's a whole nother animal. There's money out there, and people talk about money shortages. There is money out there, and if you dealt with the budgets intimately in any of these municipalities, there's money. It's just a matter of prioritizing where you want to put it and spend it.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm gonna get back to the election again. The reason why I'm getting back, I went to training for election judge, and security was at the top of that list on what we need to do if something happens. And I'm glad they did that. And they said we shouldn't have to because years we never had to worry about. You got people scared to even sign up to help out with voting because of what's going on. But one thing I found odd that the Secretary of State passed, I think it was back in August. I think we talked about this earlier, how somebody found out how you could find out how that person vote, what party they voted for, and all that. It was in a small community. Well, when you go and vote and your ballot is printed, given to you, for some reason, I think that's in sequence of numbers. And then, so now they're turning around. If I'm right, they're having the ballots pre-numbered, but they're laying 3 ballots on the table. And the person you're going to vote pick which ballot they want. And then they print it and give it to them. And I said, really? That's going to add to the time of us being in there. Because the last big election that we did, the 2021, that we were there to about 9 o'clock, which was no problem. But now this is going to push us a little later because I guarantee somebody going to come and say, why I got to do this? Is this cheating? What is going on? I don't know if they looked at everything, what was going on, but I hope we don't have a problem when it comes down there. People pick their own ballot before we could print it. But I foresee maybe 1 or 2 people making a great big stink over this. And I don't know why they even voted this process to go in.
Well, yes, it's the training that they put all of our volunteers through. It's very extensive, and I tip my hat to those volunteers because they have to have the patience of Job, especially this go round,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to withstand the length of time. It is going to take more time, without a doubt, and so the volunteers that are going, I hope that we take good care of them, uh, and because they're going to earn their keep here this phase. And the other point that you bring up about people being able to find out how you voted or how a person voted. I've heard that can happen. And now, Ronald, I don't know, or we talked about big cities, the metro areas, urban areas, or we talk about small towns. Um, I've heard that that can happen, but it's just, I'm coming from a small town atmosphere, so uh, maybe some way they can, but if we can ever find out the whole truth to that, it would be interesting because it should be private, in my
Right.
opinion. That should be your private choice, and no one else should be nosing around in how you voted.
Exactly. If I'm right, it was a small town, but to this day, nobody's saying what town it was. And they just said it was reported. And I can understand them taking steps to make sure this election is free of anything that goes on, any shenanigans or whatever. I understand that. But at the last minute, this came up in August, and but it's given time. It's not as bad as it was in one state where Harris was completely off the ballot. It was the absentee ballot. She wasn't on there, so they had to stop everything and reprint ballots. We talked about that earlier. So I'm glad now that a lot of the states have early voting going on now. Ours starts next Monday. I'm glad to see it's getting started now, and so far so good. It's a record turnout that's going on in some of these states, and I expect the same thing here in Texas. And with early voting on Monday, oh, they said the first day is going to be horrendous. Everybody's going to be lining up voting like it's the last day, which is good. I like to see the enthusiasm, everybody getting out there voting. I don't foresee anything going on. As a matter of fact, I volunteer to tell them if they need me at any one of the precincts, I'm there for them. So I'm doing that too to make sure get out. But one thing I'm gonna bring up about early voting is a lot of people still don't understand that they could vote. Well, even here in Bexar County, you can vote at any precinct, and they don't understand about being disabled in voting either. So I'm doing my best to let that word get out. If you're disabled and you can't get out of your car, there's two slots of parking space that's got a sign there with the number on. They call that number. It goes to election headquarters. From there, they call the judge there for them saying, hey, we got so and so out there ready to vote that's disabled. And bring a portal machine out there for them to vote. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that they could do that.
Well, yes, it's you would be surprised how much people do not know about the process, and especially this go round again. There's going to be a lot of new first time voters out there, and which is good. And I would encourage them to partner or get with someone to help explain the process. Uh, and then you got the volunteers there that will help them too. Now, other cases where you have the people that are disabled and in other some way, form, or fashion not able to to go up there on their own, there is help out there, and they just need to ask and get with someone that is experienced. So I'm excited about this process. I've got a lot of new people that it's going to be their first time.
Mm.
Uh, I've got other people that had a record, and to their amazement, they went to their church. They were able to find out that they could register to vote. Now that's
Yes.
awesome. And if people are not aware of that, uh, please go to your nearest place of worship and inquire and find out how to get it done. Uh, Another thing is the sample ballot.
Oh,
We had earlier, and yeah, I vote every time. And when I got that ballot, the sample ballot, this go around, it took me just a few minutes to familiarize myself with the ballot, who's where, and who's running for what race. So if please, if you can, get a copy of a sample ballot from the different organizations that are out there that have them.
Yeah, because I picked up, I don't know if you can see it, I picked up one myself, which is 4 pages long. And one thing I'm instructing everybody to do, they know about the national election. They know about the state election for senator and all. They know about all that. But what they don't know is your local races. Because
Right.
I told somebody, you're up there playing Russian roulette. You don't know, you just pick anybody.
Right.
You don't do that. You got a little over 2 weeks to download the sample ballot and find out who they are and what they stand for. And they should have been doing this months ago. It's been there since the primaries over with. The sample ballot been there, but they wait to the last minute. And then they say, I don't know who that is. Why should? And sometimes they leave it blank and don't vote for anybody. And as I explained to people, we know about the federal and all that stuff, but it's your local election that dictates how your county, how your city, how your precinct, school board, appraisal district, commissioner court, how that is ran. And they need to get together on that. And it boggles the mind that nobody know who nobody is.
Yes. Yeah, you're exactly right, Ronald. Uh, those those ballots, they vary in length. So the reason why we don't show our ballot, because our ballot may be different than someone over in Timbuktu.
Right.
So you just need to get a copy of the ballot that pertains to your area. And the day of the straight ticket voting is gone.
Yes.
So no longer can you go in that booth and just push a switch and it just blocks everybody in. That day is gone. So you have to go through and pick each of these races individually. Please don't leave them blank if you can keep from it. But once you get everybody familiar with the presidential race, that's true, and they're going to be familiar with the Cruz and Allred race. Most people will be, but then you go on down below that, and there's some races that pertain to your local area that you really need to look at those individuals, and if you can study them ahead of time, but familiarize yourself with who those people are. There's a position on there, as State Board of Education.
Yeah.
That is very, very important position, and that person carries a lot of influence, and so he's that race is about midway on my ballot, about midway down, and so I say that to say this: people, please go from top to the bottom of that ballot and pick the people you feel is the right one. And once you get to those judges, uh, try to study ahead of time as to who they are, because there are a lot of them in there, and a lot of people are not familiar with them, and so uh, you do need to read up on them somewhat.
Yeah, definitely some good reading. I I went through on I Google everything to find out what's going on. I'm trying to Google each section of Bexar County of who they need to vote for, because there's one area of Bexar County where it is split right down the middle. Some people on one side of the street could vote for one district, on the other side is different. And they come in fussing at us. Well, why is it like that? Secretary of State, all the Secretary of State. We're just here to make sure you vote. We don't have no opinions about anything. We don't even do that. And so, well, this doesn't make any sense. Well, this particular person, I've been working this one precinct for over 4 years. This particular person come in all the time and ask the same question. You would think down the line they will look it up, because me myself personally, I'm not giving out no answers like that, even though I know what it is. That's up to them to find out.
Right.
Because I don't want nobody to come and tell me, well, he said no, I didn't say anything. And so, but that's how it is. Switch a little bit. As we was in our training, there's going to be more people out from the Secretary of State going around the precincts and checking everything from what we found out.
Hmm.
So I don't know how many people they hired for this, but we were told they will be out there checking to make sure we have everything. And I think the biggest one is that 100-foot marker. That is the biggest one. They want to make sure that that is posted. And so I got my trusty tape measure. I'm at the same place. I measure 100 feet, but I'm gonna double check to make sure. I'm not going to assume, because they said there could be some problems right there. And then what was funny about this, if your 100-foot marker only goes halfway, and then it's across the street, the other of the, we need to mark on there, the 100 marker goes across the street, because some places is like that. The 100-foot marker is not right there on the same property, and I said, that's a little weird. I haven't ran across that, but apparently that's going on somewhere in the state. So that's one big thing they want us to have out right there, is make sure that 100-foot marker is there. And for those of people who don't know what that means nobody can be inside that 100-foot marker talking and tell you who to vote for, or talk about political stuff to candidates, or anything within that 100 feet.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up too, Ronald, because of late, past few races that I've been in, they're starting to enforce that 100-foot marker more and more and more. I mean, signs, anything related and dealing with the election and voting cannot be within that 100-foot marker. That's encroachment, and they have been out there patrolling and making sure that people abide by that 100-foot marker. So if they're not familiar with it, when they get there, they will find out soon enough.
And that goes for campaign signs and stuff, can be with inside there.
Yes.
Outside there, oh, well, like sometimes we go set up the night before to get everything going, and there's no signs out there. We come
Right.
back the next day. Where did they come from? It's loaded up, and some were inside the 100-foot mark. So I just picked them up and laid them down, put on the outside. So they come up and say, "What happened?" I say, "You're inside this mark." Because one thing we will put up overnight is a 100-foot marker. We will put that up so they know that they can't put any signs right here. But there's some people who are hard headed. They will try you,
Yeah.
see if they get away with it. And one of the other things that we talked about was poll watchers. A few years ago, well, on the 2020 election, they could come in, but once they left, they couldn't come back in. Well, that's changed now. They come in and out as much as they want. It doesn't make a difference, but they have to have a certificate to show us before they could do it. And so that's some of the changes that went on right there. And the election judge could kick out a poll watcher if they feel they doing things they have no business doing.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen that problem yet, not where I'm at. But I think they're covering the bases real good this year on this election. Even some of the stuff came in late. I think some of the stuff came in for a good reason. Better safe than sorry, because we don't need 1,000 lawsuits over an election, over a free election. So the poll watchers, they are making sure that they are legit, make sure they have their piece of paper and all that stuff. So that's one thing that they focus on a lot, was the poll watchers.
Yes, they have a difficult job, or could have a difficult job, um, and people, you're going to get some people that are going to try. I mean, that's just things that happen, and so hopefully everyone's going to be cooperative and will abide by the rules. The election judges, I've never had one to call anyone down, but there's always a first time.
Yeah.
But I again with this large of a number registered, if 100% of them go and vote, we're going to have our hands full.
Oh, uh, I'm glad you said that because the 2020 election, we got there at 5 to set up everything, have everything ready. By 6:15, the line was around the building. By 7 o'clock, it was across the street and still growing. I said, "Oh no, we're gonna be in trouble." But it was a good trouble, not bad trouble. But we turned around and we got that whole line done. Get this, from 7, I think it was 9:45, and we all sat down and took a breath. Well, by 10 o'clock, the line started building up again. So it was a long line. And at the end, now that's the tricky part. At the end, somebody has to get out there and stand when 7 o'clock hit, just to where it ends right here. Now, I am so worried that the way it is nowadays, if somebody show up at 1 minute after, there's only a minute after. What you mean I can't vote?
Yeah.
Hoping it doesn't do that, but I'm not worried about the beginning. I'm worried about the ending where that cutoff is at. And fortunately, I'm in a place right now where I'm voting, precinct is at, where we accommodate almost 50 people coming in and close the door if it comes down to that. But getting out there, I don't know. I haven't heard of, have you heard anything when somebody try to show up after 7 o'clock and try to vote, try to come to the line?
I have not heard it, Ronald. Uh, I know that there can be some instances where some people are coming in late and they have to make a judgment call on it. And so, but I hadn't heard it be a big issue. Uh, and I, again, as we've talked at the beginning of our podcast, I encourage people to vote early. And we keep saying vote early. Now, the first early voting is for us in Texas is Monday, the 21st.
Yeah.
So, and pay attention to the times, uh, and then pay attention to the locations. It's pretty flexible at the beginning, but once we get closer to the drop dead date, then they kind of tighten it down.
Yeah. And November 1st is the last day to early vote.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, we just gear up and get ready for November 5th. Somebody asked me the other day, so what are you hoping for about the election? I'm hoping for November 6th. Why is that? It's over. It's over. We geared up for 2 years for this going. And now boom, there it is. Speaking about 2 years, um, anybody who wants to run for office, I was talking with somebody the other day. Some people wait for the last minute to file.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
know this is off topic, but I got to bring this up. And then you don't have time enough to get your name out there. So if you're going to run for office, you should figure out what office you're going to run for and do it at least 2 years in advance so they know who you are and what you stand for. But if you wait for the last minute, you talking about juggling. You can't get things going fast enough. You can't create that movement that you need to get going. But if you do it 2 years in advance, because everybody knows what's going on in the next 2 years,
Yep.
so you should be able to file then and have everything going, because name recognition is real good. So if you get out there and you file at the last minute and put your name out there, say, who's that?
Mm-hmm.
What's that all about? But if you do it 2 years in advance, oh yeah, they were talking about this, talking about, now you got a conversation going on instead of saying, who's that? They can say, oh yeah, they've been doing this already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an excellent point. If anyone is thinking about running for office, you need to start, as Ronald suggested, 2 years in advance, because there's so much clutter out there nowadays. And by clutter, I mean you hear any and every kind of thing going on, and you want to have your name with the highest recognition out there for whatever position you're going to run for. Uh, People use different strategies. I don't understand why they wait to the last minute, uh, but some people, unfortunately, they'll wait to the last minute to file for an office, and by the time that the office is underway and going on, you're you've done your name has done lost or is lost in all the muck and the mutter. So yeah, if you're going to run for an office, you need to start early on. And there's some examples of some people that are running this go round. They started early and they got to jump on everyone else. Their name is already it's a household name. And then some of the others, they're like, I never heard of that person. So
Yeah.
start early.
And so, and getting back to the sample ballot, knowing their names, don't play Russian roulette and get up there and just start closing your eyes and picking, because you may pick the wrong person. You say, "I voted for him." Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. Yeah, you did. So
Yeah.
that's one thing they need to start doing is educating themselves, and that's what we're doing right here on Texas in Color. We want to educate the voters on what's going on out there, what district you in, who you should vote for. We are here to let you know where to go to educate you about voting. We don't want to educate you about who you should vote for. We want to educate you the voting process and what you should do to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main thing. Get to know your candidates. They should be a household name by now. And I just said something, a household name. What happened back in the days when you listened to your parents talking about voting, who they voting for, and your aunties and your cousins coming, they all having discussion who they voting for? I don't see that as much nowadays as it was back in the days.
Yeah, you're right, and unfortunately, we're in that state of affairs now where we don't communicate, talk like we should about the candidates that are out there. Uh, you cannot know enough about them because every time you hear a commercial or an advertisement,
Mm-hmm.
the opposing side comes and and just totally blows it out of the water. So if you can get together like we did in the old days and talk amongst each other and share different thoughts and different views and what you know and learn, uh, that would be better. Another thing I'm gonna add here is, we've got a lot of older people that are active in voting now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, some of the folks are not tech savvy, and so they learn from the old school. So while a lot of us would just pick up our phone and Google or get in any of our connecting sites, and we can find out. But the older ones, uh, you know, they're not able or capable of doing that. So we got to get that information to them too.
And that's where the town halls and communities come into play at when you get there. It doesn't have to be a candidate there. It could be somebody going over the voting process. They could show the candidates up there, this is what they're doing and this is what they stand for, and just go back and forth. You're right, because the younger generation, they were brought up on social media. So they know everything is going on. The older generation, I'm one of them, but I keep up with everything. So,
Yeah.
but you're right. We got to hit the seniors and let them know what's going on. Because I do have some people in San Antonio. I had a young lady on the show the other day. She goes visit the senior citizens
Mm-hmm.
in the senior homes and all that. She talks to them, and she was a deputy registrar that was making sure they was registered to vote, and she was doing all that. And we discussed that on her show, that we discussed about how the seniors are important, and we cannot leave them out, because that's a bulk of voters right there is the seniors.
Oh yes, and they will vote. And when speaking to seniors, one of the things that they taught us is the seniors some of them are harder of hearing. So when you talk to a senior group, you got to talk louder than you normally would so that they can hear what you're saying. And but they are a very, very big part of this whole process, and they know a lot.
Mm-hmm. You know, you brought up hearing. I got to find that. I got it somewhere that Bear County will have 5 precincts, will have a person there with sign language. So if you're deaf coming in and you can't hear anything, somebody be there for you. It's taking place in 5 precincts in Bear County. I need to find that and share with everybody. So that's something new that they're doing. But also, we talked about people being disabled and they're bringing machine out there you to vote. Also, there are 2 voting machines that's allocated for the disabled that have headphones and everything. So we have that too. So we're making sure that the seniors and people with disability are taken care of.
Absolutely, absolutely. We should take care of that segment of our population, and I'm glad to hear that they're making those uh, type of accommodations there in San Antonio, and I hope the other areas are doing it too.
I got this one lady coming on. I don't have her deal right in front of me, but she's going to be on. She deals with the disabled and some numbers she just on that. I watched the documentary on her and the number she's talking about is millions of disability folks here in Texas. I think she said 3. I'm not too sure, but I'm gonna double check on that. That's another large voting that they're not looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And you will think that they would with Greg Abbott being the governor, being disabled himself. You would think they would look more towards disability than anything else, and they're really not. And she's bringing up some amazing things, and she's going to be on the show, I think, next week. And I just can't wait to hear what she has to say.
Well, yes, you would think that our governor, who has a handicap, that he would have extra measure to see that all the Americans with Disability Act ADA groups of people are taken care of, and and I hope that that the people out there they're looking out for that group and are making accommodation for them some way, form, or fashion.
Yeah, because that's a big voting block right there. Mm. You know, they could sway it any direction, you know, so just look out for that coming up. What was the other thing I was going to talk to you about? We did early voting and I know I was going to talk to you about. Now, I watched TV the other day and this point came up. Lying is the new trend now with politics. It always been there, but it's more out more than anything else. Because now, when back in the days we discussed this before that you had to have 3 reliable sources before they printed that information.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way it is nowadays, you tell a lie and says, "Oh well, forget about it," and it's instant. And people will gravitate more towards lies than the truth. You got to tell the truth 10 times more than what they're telling the lie to get it through their thick skulls. That was
Yeah,
a lie. That's a blatant lie. But yet again, we fixated on rumors and lies in today's politics. And I can't understand why. When I hear something, I know that's a lie. Are people not want to look for the truth? Or people don't want to look it up to find out what the truth is? I mean, your opinion, what the heck are they doing?
well, yeah, we are in a phase where lying seems to be the norm, and to a degree is accepted, and until we start finding some way to have some accountability for what people are saying out there, it will continue. And if it's not a lie, they'll say it's the half truth. Either way, it's a lie.
Yeah.
So uh, we all the more reason why we should know who our candidates are, uh, as much as possible, and find out what the real story is, and it's going to be up to the grassroots people to make these people accountable for what they're saying and what they're doing.
So this point I'm gonna make right here is when they ask a candidate a question, they don't answer the questions anymore. They talk about something else that has nothing to do with the question they just asked. I'm hoping that somebody will have the, I can't use that. Yes, I can. I wish somebody will have the balls to sit there and keep on asking that question until they answer. I am so sick and tired of them deviating away from the question and talk about something else that has nothing to do with the question. Like I said, being held accountable. Are they scared to tell the truth? Or what is it that's going through that thick skull of theirs that they can sit there and try to fool the American people? We know it's a lie. They
Mm-hmm.
even know it's a lie. And some of the people who interview people, they know it's a lie. There's no more hardball questions anymore. It's all soft questions. I don't care. You get me in front of somebody, I'm gonna ask them a question and I'm gonna stay on it. No, you didn't ask that question. They probably get up and walk off the stage. But I'm sorry, the hardball questions need to be asked and need to be answered because you're dealing with people's lives.
Yes, yes, as you can, you hold them accountable to answer that question. And if you have to keep repeating it over and over and over again, sooner or later they're going to answer what you're asking. But that's holding that person accountable for what they're saying. And so, yeah, if you're in that situation, just continue to ask that question over and over and over till you get the answer.
Yeah, well, I will probably say the the interview be over with because that person gonna get mad and get up and leave. Or I've been known to cut people mics. When I'm sitting up having our round table and stuff, if somebody get out of hand, I just mute the mic. I said, okay. Because in the beginning, I let them know, look here, it's not gonna get personal. We're gonna talk civil, like we have some sense. We're not gonna get outrageous. And when they do, I will cut the mic and ask them to leave because we want to get the information out there. And if you are somebody out there and you have the information, and we want that information to get out. We don't want fluff. We want the real information to get out so other people can make their opinion on things. And with that being said, I'm sitting here right now just thinking about the debate with Cruz and Allred. That's one point when Cruz was asked a certain question. Man, he wasn't in left field. He was out there in the ocean somewhere. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. He did not answer that question. And that's the part I'm getting at. Why they do that? This is something that's hurting the Texas people in Texas, hurting them. We deserve to have somebody there that's there for us, not
Right.
there for them. And I'm sorry, it's getting out of hand. And somewhere along the line, we're going to have some dramatic changes in the state of Texas in order for all this to function. Like, for one thing, if people don't know, Texas have the biggest Black population there is in the whole United States. But yet 30, maybe 35% will show up to vote. So that's a problem right there we need to conquer. So I don't know. I'm on a tangent right now. It's just, It's just, it gets to me to see all this going on and nobody's doing nothing about it. They just like, oh, well, it's just another election. No, it's not. So I'm sorry. I had to just get that out.
That's all right, Ronald. That's okay. It need to be said.
Yeah. So, but I'm looking forward for this election. I'm looking for November 6th. One thing I would say, the way things are going on, not only in the state of Texas, but throughout the states, especially the states that will hold a target of who's going to be president, they're passing things that's going to prolong the count. And we need the count done not 2 days later. We need it done that day.
Yes.
I'm glad Georgia stepped up and threw out that nonsense. I think Georgia they had to vote, but they had to hand count the votes after that. Judge came in and said, no, you can't do that. It came in too late. We need to count it now. The law states it must be counted and turned in at a certain time. And I'm glad that Judge stepped up to do that. We don't need no shenanigans going on so close to the election. We need to go ahead and let the voting process go on. Whoever wins or lose, we need to take it and go on our merry way and support that person. Well, I'm just saying you support that person, whoever it is locally. Uh, but that's something we got to do. And that's one thing we're not doing. Everybody's a sore loser. And I told my kids a long time ago when I was coaching them in Little League, and I told them, in order to be a great winner, you have to be a great loser. They looked at me and said, Dad, have you lost your mind? I said, you got to learn how to lose. Once you learn how to lose, you know what to do next time around to come back to win.
Yes.
That was the way I was telling. I mean, I know I'm going on and on, Mr. Green, but what's your opinion on some of the stuff I just blurted out?
Oh no, I think you're spot on. Uh, if we can just get that message hammered out to other people and they abide by it, that's the thing. We've gotten away from that,
Yeah.
But we again, it takes a leader to bring that back to the attention of the folks, and we need to learn how to lose as well as learning how to win. That's easy. Learning how to lose is difficult for some.
So let me ask you a question before we leave. What is your definition of a true leader?
Well, a true leader is, in my view, it's a person that leads by example. He exhibits the traits of integrity. He has wisdom. He has intuition. He or she, forgive me, but yeah, they carry themselves in such a way that is respectable. So a number of different things I laid out there uh, that to me uh, symbolizes a leader.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. We got them all over the place, and you can see up and coming leaders by watching them and talk to them. And I think you're just born with it sometimes because you could look at somebody and say, man, that person is going to be somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
And then you look at the other ones who got money in their pocket and they forced themselves to be a leader and not really a leader because they got money. I'm just being honest, that's how I see it. But you're right. Integrity comes a long ways with being a leader. Wisdom is definitely there because you got to think about when you get into office, when you run for office, you have to think about these are the people who voted me in.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't let them down. I cannot do everything, but I could get around and do as much as I can because face it, no matter who's in office, you're going to like or hate what they're doing, but
Yeah.
they're trying to do things the good for the people. not for two people or one person. They're trying to do it for the people. And sometimes they get raked over the coals with their opinion about something. But sometimes if they stick to their guns, and that's a thing that's troubling right now. But if they stick to their guns and they go ahead and put that process in, and that process starts working, then the people said, well, I guess they were right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's working. And that's the problem. We're so much into a microwave society, we don't give time for things to work. It takes time, and people don't understand that.
Yes, that's right.
So
You're right on the money.
yeah. Okay, sir. Boy, that time show went fast.
It did. It did.
Next week, we're really gonna get down in deep about the election coming up, and because it's gonna be right around the corner. And I definitely want you on after the election so we could go over everything on where we at, what we doing, and let everybody know this is what we have to do. And because it's gonna be people just gonna be just plain upset. Some are gonna say, "Oh, whatever." Matter of fact, it was this lady that was on a show today, and they asked her about the election. She said, "Well, if it goes away that I want to go, I'm fine. But if it don't, I signed up for dual citizenship in another country." I said, "Really?" So there are some people out there that's strong on what they're going to do, and some are just, hey, whatever happens, we have to go with whatever happens, and just wait around for the next election cycle to if you don't like what went on this time around, you can vote the next time around, get a good candidate in there and vote for him or her. So
that is right.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah, I appreciate you coming on, taking your time, and we will talk to you later on.
You bet, Ronald. Thank you, and you have a great week.
All right, you too.
Okay.
Okay, bye. Thank you for watching Texas in Color. Please tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so you'll be notified each and every time we go on live.